You guys, this is a sign to let go of your expectations. Let me say it again. This is a sign to let go of your expectations and let it be whatever it's going to be. Okay? Because sometimes our expectations of what something is going to look like gets us in trouble. I was watching a video about an old Hollywood starlet, right? Let me see if I can find her name. But I was watching a video about an old Hollywood starlet, and she pretty much was stuck on this idea of what she thought love was going to look like. A lot of us have been in situations where, we come up watching the Disney movies, or we come up listening to certain music, watching certain people in our lives and in our families, and just kind of cultivating through all of these experiences and reference points what we believe our life is going to look like, what we believe our success is going to look like, what we believe love is going to look like. And it's like I had to realize one day that's really what's getting me in trouble. That's what gets a lot of us in trouble, is because when it doesn't look like what we expect for it to look like, we start to not believe in the vision. We start to lose faith in the existence or the possibility that we can have what it is that we want, just because it doesn't look like what we think it's going to look like. The video was about Carol Landis. Her name is Carol Landis, and she basically lived her life in a very fast way. Not that it was 100% because of her. There were certain external influences and traumas that she had to deal with that kind of molded her mentality. But I believe that she's a good example of the expectations that we create and how they can be our biggest downfall. Okay, so this is your sign to release those expectations and not to allow them to hold you back. The video I watched was by Karine Allude. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, but I love her videos about old Hollywood starlets, or 20th century starlets. She does coverage on almost anyone in pop culture and in the limelight, things like that. So I just really enjoyed her perspective on it, and she focused kind of on this topic at the end of the video, and it really made me think about it, because whether it's the influence of our families, or whether it's the influence of our friends or our peers, our communities that we grow up and live in, we as people tend to not want to deviate from the crowd. And people always say, oh, I don't like to fit in. I don't like to, blend in with the crowd. I like to be an individual, but only until it's safe. People don't like to deviate or branch off from the tribe or the crowd if it means that they're going to be chastised or criticized. People don't like to be different for real. They like to be different or eccentric or eclectic enough to still be accepted, but to also have a flair or an air of mystery. But they don't like to be so different or so eclectic or so eccentric to where they're not accepted, flat out, because that's something that a lot of people can't handle. And in having that mentality that I feel like is inherent within humans and mammals and animals and even plants, life forms, having that mentality causes you to create a vision or a picture of what you expect your life to look like, or what you think your life will look like. And as you grow and evolve and age, your expectation tends to become your reality, whether you like it or not. And the level of satisfaction and happiness that you have in your life is determined by whether or not that expectation is met or whether it's not. This is why people stay in relationships and marriages that they're unhappy in, because they're so stuck and fixated on the expectation of what they thought that relationship or that marriage was going to look like. That's why people stay in jobs or careers that they don't really like. This is why people stay in friendships for years with people who they're not actually friends with, that they don't really like. Because either there's an expectation from others around them to remain in that position, or they had a belief or expectation as an individual internally that this is what they wanted. But then when they get it, it's not actually what they wanted. And this is a part of manifestation that a lot of people don't like to talk about. Manifestation is a very abstract thing. And that's why it's important to be grateful, because if you're grateful, you show gratitude, you show appreciation, and you try to ground and center yourself in the present moment, you will see and realize that a lot of your manifestations come to fruition and come to reality. But where people get caught up is that the expectation of what they've manifested and what they thought it was going to look like isn't actually the reality of what they receive. So therefore, they either mistake that as not being accurate to what they manifested, or they immediately move past it, showing that lack of gratitude because they're now striving for the next thing without fully embracing and absorbing what they've been given. And if you get too caught up in your expectations of what you believe something either will look like or should look like, oftentimes you miss the blessing in what it is that you have. And then sometimes you may miss the opportunity to go after what it is that you truly want. I don't know. I just felt like talking about expectations, because if you go through life, or try to go through life, like, y'all can let me know in the comments what you think, but if you go through life expecting to get a certain result and you kind of don't necessarily get that result, you might get it sometimes, but you don't get it all the time. Or you might get it for a long time and then it stops. Like, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to stay where you are? Are you going to become a statue? Are you going to, cry and whine and complain? Or are you going to step back, try to gain a higher perspective, and see where you may be missing something? Because that's what I'm just being honest with y'all. These are things that I talk to myself about. These are things that go through my mind. These are things that I journal about on a regular basis. And we're never really anywhere that we're not supposed to be. We're always in the right place at the right time. We're always doing exactly what we're meant to be doing when we're meant to be doing it. We're always with the people and in the situations that we're meant to be in. And I know sometimes that's hard for people to accept, because a lot of times bad things happen and you don't necessarily get what you expect, but you always get what you're supposed to get. You always do what you're supposed to do regardless. And this is your sign, honestly, to gain a different perspective and to release the expectations that you not only have on yourself, but the expectations that you have on other people, the expectations that you have on businesses and corporations, the expectations that you have on the environment and nature. Because I was irritated today going outside filming all these videos because it was cold. And a few days ago, or, last week or so, whenever, it had gotten up to a balmy, not balmy, but it had gotten up to a nice, comfortable, 60, almost to 70 something temperature. People's outside wearing tanks and shorts, and now it's freezing again. And a lot of people have an attitude because they held nature to an expectation that was unrealistic because it's nature. You can't expect nature to do anything. A lot of the things that happen when it comes to quote unquote natural disasters that we are seeing and that we will undoubtedly, unfortunately, continue to see will have a lot of people upset because they hold nature and the environment to an unrealistic expectation. And when you hold others to an unrealistic expectation, it's like you set yourself up to fail. You set yourself up to be disappointed. You set yourself up to have a lackluster response to whatever situation that you're in. Because you can't expect anyone to do anything, not even yourself. And at the end of the day, if you hold yourself to an expectation that is so rigid and concrete that you don't allow for deviation or happenstance, you're kind of setting yourself up to be disappointed. And that's not to say that you shouldn't strive for things. This is not an excuse for you to be lazy and sit on your behind and not do anything to benefit your life or to move your life forward. But this is the confirmation that a lot of you guys need to free yourself from the expectations that you put on yourself that undoubtedly came from external circumstances of expectations that others put on you, or expectations and pressures that you receive from social situations and from societal situations that we are all exposed to. Because the more fluid you can be when it comes to manifesting what it is that you want, and the more you can release yourself from the binds and the rigidness and the strictness of something needing to have a specific outcome and look a specific way, the more free you are to accept how things are and to find the joy and to find the happiness and to identify the purity of the blessing and bliss that you receive from whatever the situation or circumstance ends up being. And, that's just some tea for y'all. So like and subscribe. Let me get I like this hand because it's got my little bracelet and my tattoo on it. Like and subscribe to continue to catch the vibe, y'all. Thank you for being here. Get in the comments. Let me know your perspective on what I said. Share this with someone who you think may need to hear it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.